This program has been made possible by a grant from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas.
Hunger and obesity are related very closely. In fact, they walk hand in hand.
Well, when I was first presented with the fact that Texas ranks so high in childhood obesity, but we also rank so highly as a state in the children that go without food, I didn't see how the two issues were really compatible until I understood that children that don't have access to food, when they do, oftentimes they get foods of poor quality.
They're flip sides of the same coin.
Hunger does not, care where you live. There are children who are in both urban and rural settings that are not getting access to food on a regular basis.
A mom who wants to feed her children will buy quantity, and sometimes the cheapest foods are the least nutritious foods.
And so that's why you'll often see this kind of, boom and bust period within a family, sometimes within the same month, that encourages both obesity and can lead to hunger.
It's not how much they're eating, it's the types of food that they're eating.
1 out of every 4 fourth graders is obese. About 1 out of every 5 eighth graders and 11th graders are obese.
Poor food availability then resulting in limited choices. And for many families, there aren't many choices out there.
These are students, these are workers, and when folks don't have enough to eat, then they're less productive at work, they can't learn like they should, and these are things that affect all of us, even if they're only directly affecting a few of us.
No one person, no one organization, no one government can solve hunger. If that were the case, it would have already been done.
There's absolutely hope in that we have the solutions that are here in Texas, in every county and statewide in order to fight the problem.
But we're so enormous. We're such a huge state that to make a real difference in local communities, we need to bring those resources back to the locals where they can implement things well and where they know that their own critical local challenges and can begin to address them.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Everett. For Feeding Minds, Texas takes on hunger and obesity. Camille Miller from the Texas Health Institute and my organization, the Texas Hunger Initiative at Baylor University, have partnered with public broadcasting stations across Texas to create a picture of the growing health crisis that affects too many children in our state.
We come to you from the studios of KACV-TV in Amarillo, Texas, the station that organized this program, and we'll visit 7 other cities in the state to see how they tackle the overlapping problems of hunger and obesity. We'll also hear from various experts with special insight about this complex issue. Here, Bill Ludwig of the U.S. Department of Agriculture explains how hunger and obesity can coexist.
Many of Americans today that are hungry are obese, and they're the working poor. It's not the people who are chronically unemployed. That's not the norm for people who are participating in these programs. The majority of the people that participating in these hunger programs are working people, working poor, people who have jobs, men and women who have jobs every single day. They're just underemployed. They can't get enough hours, or they're just making minimum wage.
It is imperative that we work together as a state to make sure Texas children grow up to be healthy adults, because one way or another, this issue affects everyone.
And it takes everyone's involvement, from government, congregations, community organizations, right down to you. So let's get started. As we travel through the state, we'll meet everyday people who are working to end these twin challenges. Austin's KLRU looks at statewide efforts already in place to provide support to those in need.
At the state capitol in Austin, elected officials and policymakers are focusing on the challenges of childhood obesity and hunger. Working closely with local communities, schools, and nonprofits, much of the effort is being coordinated through the State Departments of Health Services and Agriculture and the Texas Education Agency.
One of the things that Texas state government has been doing over the last several years is trying to coordinate our activities between different agencies. And so we've been working with the Texas Department of Agriculture. They've been very effective at trying to improve the availability of fresh fruits and vegetables in schools. We work with the Texas Education Agency helping them set school policy, physical fitness, nutritional education, coordinated school health. And then our part in the Department of State Health Services is the context in which that takes place, trying to help communities be healthy, help communities put in policies that will allow their citizens to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
The Texas Department of Agriculture administers many different programs. Our school lunch program, the school breakfast program. We've created a message that I believe is one that has to be sent out with everything that we do, and it's called the 3 E's of healthy living: education, exercise, and eating right.
So in order for us to fight obesity, there's guidance from the CDC that we follow. There are basically 6 things that we need to address. 3 that we need to increase, 3 that we need to decrease. So we need to increase our physical activity. We need to increase how much fresh fruits and vegetables we eat. And also it's important when a baby is born that if you can increase the chances that that baby will breastfeed, for every month that the baby breastfeeds, the risk of him being obese decreases by 6%. At the same time, there's 3 behaviors that we need to decrease. We need to decrease the sugary beverages that we drink. We need to decrease our intake of high calorically dense foods. And then we need to decrease how much time we spend in front of the TV set.
Many state programs have focused on schools, where lunch programs, physical education, and health and nutrition curriculum form the front line in the state's response.
The initial approach to dealing with childhood obesity in Texas really was very school-based. And when Susan Combs was the agriculture commissioner, she really sort of led that initial charge, thinking about, as long as you have children in school all day, this is going to be a great opportunity to address their nutrition and exercise needs, and that's how we're going to turn this epidemic around before it even gets started.
I spent all my time, those years, as ag commissioner thinking about what are we feeding kids in school when you're required by state truancy laws, you shall attend school. And I've just thought, if you're going to be forced to go to school, by gum, let's give you healthy food.
Some of the legislative efforts that have been passed include initiatives for coordinated school health programs. The idea is that you have a consistent message in the school. So not only are you teaching about nutrition in the classroom, but the child goes into the cafeteria and they see healthy food available. And then they're able to be physically active like we teach them in the classroom. And these messages go home as well.
But lack of resources is a serious challenge that can impede the effective implementation of important initiatives.
The fact that we use the CDC best kind of gold standard model in terms of coordinated school health, which is just about making sure that our school environments are healthy environments. That is the program that's on the books in all of our school districts right now. The problem is that there isn't funding for it.
Schools are supposed to teach, but my view was, as ag commissioner when we started this in the summer of 2003, was that you should at least, kind of like having fire extinguishers and fire doors that worked, you have to have a healthy environment so that they're actually healthy while they're there.
To the extent that our schools have been underfunded, that certainly impacts their interest and ability and even kind of focused attention to look at the whole picture of children's health, and that is a critical component of academic success as well.
If we as taxpayers don't think it's worth our while to be sure that kids have access to healthy food in school, well, shame on us.
Beyond school-based programs, state leaders are pursuing other initiatives designed to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Texas has really made great strides in just the past couple of years in recognizing that childhood obesity is not a unique problem that we can hand to the schools and expect them to solve.
There actually has been some legislative attention to increasing healthy fruits and vegetables, especially those that are locally grown. So increasing access to farmers markets, having programs where you can use WIC benefits, women, infants, and children's benefits, to purchase foods at the farmers market. Trying to work out legislation so that it's easier for people to grow fruits and vegetables within an urban setting.
Ultimately, the answer lies in the coordinated efforts of state leaders working together with communities and families to make a difference in the challenge to end childhood hunger and obesity.
It can't happen in Austin. It can't happen in Washington. It has to happen in Dallas and Amarillo, Tyler and Lubbock. in Palestine, and Pecos. That's where the real turnaround will be made.
These are all our children. And what hurts one child hurts the rest of our children. And so it's really important for us to understand their health is our state's economic health.
When you are food insecure, you don't know where your next meal is coming from. This situation can lead to obesity because when food is available, people tend to overeat on high-calorie, high-starch processed food. Unfortunately, these foods are less expensive and easier to find.
If we want to get a handle on childhood hunger and obesity in Texas, we have to talk about access. Access not only to services, but also access to healthy food. Eileen Garcia with Texans Care for Children explains how Texas is unique in this regard.
Given the vastness of our populace, given the huge geographic distribution of our state, we do have pockets where it's very difficult for folks to get public transportation access to a store that provides healthy food in a way that is economical.
Some Texans would be shocked to know that hunger exists in every one of our 254 counties in our state. In fact, Montgomery County, which is home to the Woodlands and some of the wealthiest zip codes in Texas, has a 15% food insecurity rate.
Nearby Harris County, where Houston is located, has an 18% food insecurity rate. Let's look at how Houston deals with the dual issues of hunger and obesity. Houston PBS station KUHT shares this story.
While Houston may lead the nation in childhood obesity, it also leads in creative solutions. Fernanda Mejia is one of the nearly 36% of kids in Houston ages 6 to 17 who are overweight. It took her a few years to lose the extra weight, and she did it slowly.
I was like 9 or 10 when I came to Bounce. What I like about the program is they make you eat healthy and they want you to be active.
In just 1 year, she went from a body mass index ratio, which measures body fat based on weight and height, of 25, down to a healthy, normal 23.
So this is about our standard portion size.
The answer? The Summer Bounce program, which started at the University of Houston in 2005. Why summer? That's the time kids tend to gain the most weight.
We have 4 weeks in which we start with a dietitian, teaching them about, from basic nutrition all the way how to prepare healthy meals with a chef. And also we offer the children over 21 physical activities.
El saber leer como las etiquetas.
I learned to read labels, how many calories we tend to consume without knowing it, and how to stay active at least 30 minutes a day.
I don't want anything to happen to me. I don't want any diabetes. I'll try to eat healthy.
Dr. Olvera finds immigrant families especially challenging because for many, junk food represents the American dream.
Some of these families come from a lot of places when there is a lot of poverty, where there are limited sources of food.
Many of these families live in food deserts, found in low-income neighborhoods and having little or no access to healthy foods.
We've seen about 5 to 6% rise the last decade in obesity among children and adults.
The health department program, unique to Houston, brings monthly farmers markets and has built several community gardens in these food deserts so residents can have access to affordable fresh produce.
We know that only 24% of these residents really have their 5 days of daily servings of fruits and vegetables.
In the U.S., there's one supermarket for every 8,600 people. In Houston, the ratio is one store to 12,000 people. In all, 16 Houston neighborhoods are considered to be food deserts.
There is this issue of obesity in these neighborhoods because what happens is a lack of grocery stores and good quality food, or the absence of it. You have these kids and you have these families purchasing fast food. A lot of these areas have a lack of businesses in them. And so a grocery store is really a major anchor for other commercial development in the area to occur.
The way Councilman Costello wants to lure grocery stores into the area is by offering economic incentives and working with grocery chains like H-E-B.
They have a smaller version of their grocery store called Jovi that they're putting into the desert locations.
Can Do Houston stands for Children and Neighbors Defeat Obesity.
Another program unique to Houston is a collaborative of organizations. Can Do unites corporations, academic institutions, and the community to combat childhood obesity.
We launched it initially at Briscoe Elementary. We approached that principle about coming in with different aspects of addressing the physical needs and the nutritional needs, as well as other needs of that community.
The challenge for Can Do has been getting schools to participate, convincing them obesity prevention can aid academic performance.
Hey, you need to eat more. What's going on?
So far, Can Do has reached 3 schools, and they partner with organizations such as Recipe for Success for nutritional ideas.
Did everybody find a seat?
Its leader, Gracie Kavner, runs after-school cooking and gardening classes as well as summer camps. It reaches 3,000 children each month, and its curriculum is now being implemented nationwide.
Our overarching goal is to change the way our children eat. And I think if anybody becomes familiar with their food from seed to plate, it can change the way they eat for life.
Can Do wants to expand, but they're limited by a lack of financial resources, a key challenge when it comes to childhood obesity and the other side of the coin, food insecurity and hunger. According to the Census Bureau, 3,600 children go hungry in the greater Houston area each day.
The childhood hunger rate is odd in that children are the most likely to be poor, overwhelmingly. They're the most likely to live in food insecure households.
But good work is being done. The food bank feeds about 70,000 children a week, and the nutritional value of their meals has improved due to the obesity epidemic.
Well, the state of Texas actually at the school level has done a lot to change. We all moved to whole grains, low sugar, higher in fiber, more fresh fruits and vegetables.
Though the food bank has grown, distributing 70 million pounds of food a year, feeding the hungry is still a Band-Aid approach.
Hunger is poverty-driven. It's poverty and near poverty-driven. We know demand is increasing because we're watching what's happening with poverty and near poverty, and it's going up so rapidly. A lot of times people make the mistake of thinking that we can truly solve the hunger problem by focusing just on food. I mean, it's economic circumstance. What we most need is for our clients to be able to earn a good living.
Many local experts believe we're beginning to see positive initiatives to eliminate childhood hunger and obesity. With ongoing community involvement, they hope these strategies will impact generations to come.
As we make our way throughout the state, we'll see the vital role that food banks play in the distribution of food to Texans in need.
Like the disciples who passed out fish and loaves to the multitudes, the Texas Food Bank Network's 19-member group has a common goal, and that is to end hunger in Texas. J.C. Dwyer describes how important the food banks are to so many hunger relief agencies.
Food banks are special places, especially in Texas, because they're places that have a lot of community trust, and they're places where both public and private resources come together to fight this problem. So they're a natural venue to both talk about the issues in a civil way, as well as to reach out to folks in a way that's, local and trusted, but has the power of something like a federal nutrition program behind it.
In cooperation with hunger relief agencies across the state, food banks distributed 298 million pounds of food in 2010.
And through programs such as Kids Cafe and after-school backpacks, thousands of children are getting nutritious meals after school and over the weekends. In Lubbock, KTTZ looks at hunger and obesity in the South Plains and how their problems differ from those in a larger urban area.
1 in 4 kids in Lubbock are going without meals once they leave school. And once you leave Lubbock County, it goes to 1 in 3 kids are going without meals.
Tammy Hester is the Childhood Nutrition Programs Director of Kids Cafe, a program sponsored by the South Plains Food Bank. Kids Cafe teams up with local after-school programs like the Boys and Girls Club to help provide a hot meal to school children that may not have one waiting for them when they get home. During the week at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Lubbock, volunteers prepared trays for the children with food given to them by the Kids Cafe. Kids Cafe not only helps with providing food, but also educates the children.
We teach a nutrition education class every month at every site, and so I go in and do some hands-on cooking classes with the healthy, nutritious, recipes, and tie that in with some sort of physical activity that we do for that day, and we make sure that they know that they're supposed to be, being physically active at least 60 minutes a day. We talk about ingredients and labels and, how many calories are in something and where are those calories coming from.
With education being such a key component in children not only making sure they eat multiple times daily, but also being aware of what they are eating, Brenda Castañeda, a dietetic student at Texas Tech University and volunteer for Kids Cafe, expresses the key points she teaches.
Some of my goals here are just to kind of steer the kids in the right direction, trying to get them to eat more fruits and vegetables, to lay down the ice cream, the popcorn, all the junk food, and just kind of, pick up the freshness that the earth has to give.
And why is the Kids Cafe program through the South Plains Food Bank so important?
The Kids Cafe is very fundamental to how the role nutrition plays in our lives. I think it's important to start with young kids and teach them how to start eating healthy, engage in physical exercise, and just try to take care of their body to prevent further diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and any other diseases out there.
The Kids Cafe program within the South Plains Food Bank provides hot meals to those children in need and educates them on making healthy choices. The South Plains Food Bank also holds food drives stocking their warehouse to provide options for families to get what they need to put hot meals on their table for their children.
Our demand for food and the need for assistance stays pretty constant throughout the year. Each week we serve about 18,000 people. We serve 21 counties around Lubbock, and in our population base for the service area, there are about 550,000 people. Statistically, 1 in 6 people on the South Plains will be touched by the South Plains Food Bank or one of our churches or agencies that we work with.
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints contribute their time and efforts to help the South Plains Food Bank reach those in need.
We're getting together as a church and getting together some food for those that may not have what they need and reaching out to them.
Not only does Elder Rossler support being a solution to ending hunger, he feels his faith helps drive his efforts.
I know that Jesus Christ would try and do all he can to give back to those around him, so trying to follow the example of Jesus Christ as best as I can and help those around me.
All the food brought to a South Plains Food Bank food drive has to be separated and organized according to type of food and packaging.
The cans need to go in, and other cans it all needs to be put in there as nicely as you can. Cereal boxes, don't lay them down, have them standing up and stack it. So like a good suitcase when you're going out of town, put everything in there as organized as possible. And you've got each of these where you have the blue totes. That came from the church over on Frankfurt today. So you could start, as one area gets too full, move to the next one and start pulling stuff out of that bag and sorting it.
No donation is ever turned away, but healthy choices are encouraged.
Coca-Cola and soda products are welcome, chips, but there are foods that we want to encourage, and around those canned items that are low sodium and fruits that are packed in light sugar.
By gathering healthier foods from the community, local families have more nutritious options when preparing meals for their children.
Our community is stepping up and saying, we want to be a part of this and be a part of the solution.
Joining in on being a part of the solution, Plains Capital Bank of Lubbock did their part to help the South Plains Food Bank.
For the last 3 months, we've been selling the blue bags that they're carrying around in their hands today, and what we've been doing for 3 months is asking them to fill them up and bring them into the food bank. We've raised about a little over $50,000 in cash from the bag sales, and we've got about 130,000 pounds of food. Without community support and without businesses backing what's going on in the community, it just doesn't get done. So, you've got to find organizations just like this church group tonight that will come out and help, because it's all about giving, and I think we've lost that a lot with our children, and the more we can teach them to give, we'll all be better off in the long run.
Texas PBS stations work together to bring you this program focusing on the hunger and obesity issue in the state. In a similar way, collaboration among government agencies, businesses, nonprofits, and churches is the key to finding successful solutions to this complex problem.
Congregations are making a difference in the lives of hungry children in neighborhoods statewide. Susie Painter with Texas Baptist explains why faith-based groups are compelled to end hunger.
You know, God created us hungry. God created all of creation hungry. There's not a living entity in creation that doesn't need nutrition. And so when you think about the way in which we're created to be hungry for a lot of things, hungry for food and nourishment, hungry for love, hungry for connection, I think that the image of God is imprinted in the issue of hunger and in the resolution of hunger in the world. That makes it a priority for communities of faith to feed the hungry.
The simultaneous problem of hunger and obesity may seem like a paradox, but a common thread is poverty. Environments where this link exists include low-income urban neighborhoods and schools.
Texas public schools have made some progress in recent years to make sure healthy choices are available. KERA shows how schools in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are using state initiatives along with some ideas of their own to combat obesity.
At Pascal High School in Fort Worth, aerobics fills a graduation requirement for some. But sophomore Linda Hooker chose to enroll. For Linda, it's a first step towards changing her life.
Tone up, get some muscles, lose weight, and it'll help me get in the habit of having a healthier life.
How much weight do you want to lose?
Probably 30.
30 miles away, Dallas's Townview High School is also battling the bulge. Cafeteria staff are trying new techniques to make fruits and vegetables look tasty, even to teens.
So like here I have a salad. It's a chicken Caesar salad with pasta in it. So basically it's giving me like a well-rounded lunch, which I might not always get at home. Everything goes so fast, like some nights we might just pick up McDonald's or Whataburger or Popeyes like that. So, but at school, like I know I'll always get all my 5 food groups.
The healthy choices made at school are small but encouraging signs. Kids spend 7 hours a day at school, 5 days a week. It's why many believe schools are a last real hope for reversing a dangerous trend towards childhood obesity. Aerobics pioneer Dr. Kenneth Cooper has been preaching the value of mandatory PE and school nutrition for decades.
I realize the only hope we have is it comes from those kids, because now every child born after year 2000, and 1 out of 3 is destined to come down with diabetes. If they do, they can shorten their life by 17 to 27 years. And what we're beginning to see, this may be the first generation which parents outlive their children. And that's why that I see this opportunity, I see this window of opportunity is going to close before long.
It's not a race, right?
Dr. Cooper's prescription also includes more extensive use of the FitnessGram, an annual test he developed to measure student endurance, strength, and body size. Texas schools began using it in 2007, and results confirm that statewide, about a third of Texas students are overweight or obese. And in some urban districts like Fort Worth, it's worse.
We've got huge amount of data, and we're pretty close to 50% of our kids are overweight.
Here, move up a little bit, because you want your fingertips to be right there.
We know that they're not healthy. Now we got to fix it.
But Georgie Roberts believes state lawmakers have made fixing it harder. Roberts is the fitness and health director for Fort Worth schools.
A little bit further. Perfect.
Probably one of the most significant things was in the 2009 legislative session, the state of Texas took out health education as a graduation requirement and reduced the PE requirements for graduation. There's still a requirement, but it's a reduced.
Roberts believes that if schools want to combat obesity, they need to get creative and go beyond requirements. In Fort Worth, Roberts has done that with after-school workouts for staff. The idea is for teachers like Sarah Doki Reyes to set an example.
You have to practice what you preach, basically. When I stand up in front of kids, I want them to think and get motivated in the same sense. You know what, she's doing it, why aren't I doing it?
Roberts also organized the Walking School Bus program. At select schools, drivers parked their buses. Parents and staff walked the kids to school along the route.
To get some exercise instead of laying on the couch playing video games. Like you. Everybody should get at least 60. Everybody should at least get 60 to 50 minutes of exercise.
Hi, Lixie. How you doing? You're awesome this morning. I know her.
Now Roberts wants Fort Worth to tackle fattening off-campus lunches. Nearly a half dozen fast food restaurants sit right across the street from Paschal High. They're a mealtime magnet for juniors and seniors who are allowed to leave the school grounds.
Mostly everybody leaves. School lunch isn't all that good.
French fries, hamburger, a good American lunch.
Yes.
How about the ladies? What are you having for lunch?
Fries.
Chicken tenders? A lot of people might think that's not healthy. What do you think?
It's chicken. I guess it is.
In Dallas, Townview High School cut out a lot of the fast food lunches by requiring students to stay on campus. Kids still buy vending machine candy and chips before mealtime, but now almost 60% of the students are eating the school lunch.
And so the kids tend to eat more salads.
Cafeteria Director Raynard Smith credits the wide variety of food that's offered and special training that taught employees to make meals look more appealing, more like restaurant food.
A lot of kids eat with their eyes, and if you can prepare food that's very attractive, kids will love to eat it because the quality is there and the taste is there.
Gone is the iceberg lettuce, replaced by a leaf lettuce Caesar salad with cherry tomatoes. It's served in a box you might find in a deli. Syrupy canned peaches are out. Fresh fruit cups garnished with colorful grapes are in.
Here we feed roughly around 700 servings of our fresh fruit salad every week, and it's the best seller.
The eye-appealing nutrition in Dallas and the fitness that's fun in Fort Worth seem to be attracting converts.
Being here actually works. Like, now when I go up the stairs, I'm not tired, like most kids are.
The hope is that students like Linda Hooker will now share what they've learned when they leave the campus.
We have to get the families involved and understand that they're part of the solution. They're not the problem. They're the solution, and we just want to give them whatever tools we can.
Schools are an important front for battling obesity, but those in the trenches say they can't do it alone.
Along with state and local actions, families must take part in the solutions that are already out there. Consider that every $5 in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or food stamp benefits generates $9 to the local economy. Now consider that only half of the eligible Texans are enrolled in the program.
In Texas, we have enough food and enough assistance so that no one should go hungry. We just have to get the people in need to the services available. When children grow up without proper nutrition, the Texas economy suffers in the long term. Texas Commissioner of Agriculture, Todd Staples, explains why.
A recent study demonstrated that the cost of businesses annually through unnecessary health care costs, through absenteeism and other issues is tallied to be over $9 billion. And so there is an economic cost that taxpayers are paying because of the situation that we have where children are either overweight, obese, or just don't have access to the right kinds of foods.
Hunger and obesity are prevalent on the Texas coast, but Corpus Christi families are learning that education combined with good nutrition and fitness are the right choices now for a healthy future.
This is how working people in Corpus Christi are utilizing after-school programs. KEDT has the story.
Corpus Christi and surrounding Nueces County residents enjoy our beautiful bayfront view, beaches, and coastal wildlife. From a health perspective, the community mirrors the struggles with childhood obesity and hunger experienced statewide. Roughly 28% of Nueces County residents are classified as obese. 71% of children receive free or reduced price lunches, and 35% of children live in households receiving food stamps. Many in the Coastal Bend are fighting these trends in innovative ways. One is the Kids Cafe, operated by the Food Bank of Corpus Christi in 7 locations throughout the city. Educating children on how to eat right and on the importance of exercise is a priority for the Kids Cafe, which targets low-income children between kindergarten and 5th grade, many of which live in community housing development units. First, kids attending the after-school program must do their homework, and then they are served a hot meal twice a week and snacks on the other 3 weekdays. Children are mentored by local college students and have time to practice their art skills, play educational games, and take part in physical activities, all in a safe environment. Food Bank Agency Relations Manager Deborah Bruce says the children at Kids Cafe are considered at high risk because many of them have limited access to food, much less healthy food. All children and their parents must choose to participate in the program.
The kids have choices. They don't have to come here. And what we're trying to achieve is for the children to want to come to do their homework so that they can do better in school. And their reward is that they get fed the hot meals. It's not that we don't believe every child needs the hot meal, because they all probably do need that hot meal. But what we're trying to do is bring that hot meal together with responsibility. If you're going to achieve a better lifestyle for yourself, then you've got to stay in school and do your homework and learn the responsibility of what it takes to do well in school. And their reward for that is to get the hot meal at the end of their session.
Parents say the program helps to provide their children with nutritious and healthy meals and improves grades at school.
I think this program is real great. I mean, if you're a working parent and, with this economy nowadays, everybody's got to be out there working, and the hours are so long that just to make a living, this is a great place for them to be at, so that way they know that they're getting their meals done, and their number one thing is to make sure that they get their homework done.
Texas A&M University Corpus Christi provides student tutors to Kids Cafe at the Garcia Arts Center location.
We help the students with their homework. We also do literacy, that we're teaching the students different aspects of literacy, different strategies, and how to approach different ways of reading. And we have physical activity. We also have the food that the food bank provides for us here at the university, and the students really appreciate getting that on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
At the Corpus Christi Housing Authority Kids Cafe locations, partnerships are in place with the Del Mar Community College work-study students and the La Armada Housing Development Residents Council.
It's had a tremendous impact on our children and the program that we serve. No longer are we just a recreational center, but we've now incorporated academic supportive programs, and our center has turned into a learning environment for the public housing youth of La Armada 1 and 2.
Kids Cafe also features a backpack program where children are given an assortment of healthy snacks to take home on weekends to ensure they have something to eat for the 2 days away from school.
It's hard to believe that in our society we actually have children who go home on Friday afternoons and don't get another meal till they come back to school on Monday. And that's just not acceptable. Our program has made it possible for the schools to provide these backpacks that have 6 meals. Now, these are not full meals. These are simple things that the children can prepare for themselves. They can pop a top and eat something right out of the can, unwrap a nutritional bar, open the milk or the juice, and have it without the assistance of parents. And what this is geared to is for these kids who are at home alone and don't have a parent to prepare a meal.
Well, they send them home with the cereal, the juice, milk, orange juice, and applesauce. And as soon as they get home, they're just yanking the bags open and they're putting all the juices in the fridge, and they go through everything. They eat it and they love it. And that's great. I love that they're doing that for the kids, and it helps them out a lot if the parents, like I said, they're either at school, working, doing something. The kids can get to whatever they need, and it's healthy for them.
For the children, Kids Cafe is fun. Plus, there's a grown-up around every weekday afternoon to help you with your homework.
I used to make A, B's, and C's. Now I make A and B's.
My favorite meal is the beef stew.
Well, I like how they help me with my homework. It makes me have better grades in school.
Last year, I always used to make like 60s and 70s, so I started coming here, and now I'm making 90s and 100s.
We feel privileged at the food bank that we can help these centers continue to have these programs and provide the food for the programs. It is the reward system that was lacking in getting them to come to do their homework. And we feel that if we can keep these kids in school and get them at least through the 9th grade on grade level, that they will finish school. And if we can get them to finish school, then we can make a difference in their lives for the rest of their lives.
Kids do better in school when they have enough to eat. The children attending Texas schools now are the leaders of tomorrow. They are also the ones who will be taking care of us down the road.
If the trajectory of hunger and obesity among Texas children continues at the rate that it is going, our future workforce is at a major disadvantage. Carrie Kroll expands on the connection between proper nutrition and academic success.
There is a direct correlation, essentially, between your academic standing and how physically fit you are. So if you aren't getting enough food, or if you are obese and sedentary, your brain's not working like it should. And so that there's that academic. Your grades are going to those children aren't going to perform as well in standardized testing or just, weekly testing. Also mental health. More children that are either hungry or obese will seek mental health services, depression because that they are obese, or other problems that they may be having because they can't, count on food routinely. And then behavior as far as interacting with others. Socially there will be problems as far as development. They may not have as many friends, or they may have a harder time making friends. Both, you see both with children that are hungry and obese.
Nutrition education is a key piece in the plan to help Texas children grow up healthy.
And in the desert Southwest, a community organization brings the knowledge and the fresh food straight to those who need it. El Paso's KCOS has more.
In El Paso, a unique approach to health has begun. La Mujer Obrera, a food access and nutrition education organization, is promoting healthy habits through their new mercado.
So the Mercado is a community-run marketplace. We're located in the Chamizal neighborhood of El Paso, which is one of the most impoverished in the nation, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. Most supermarkets don't see this neighborhood as a profitable neighborhood. And for us, it's not just about profit, it's about providing access of the freshest foods to the people that need it the most.
When I first came, I said, well, I'll go see what it's about. I was impressed. Of all the different food that you could find, that yes, you can find it elsewhere, but it's processed in a can or in a jar, not fresh. And you find it here. So for a lot of people that come for the first time, even if it's just curiosity, they come back because whatever they saw, and they explained to them, well, with this, you can make this, or you can combine it with this other. And they tried it, they liked it, so then they keep coming.
The battle does not stop at supplying fresh produce, though.
So we have cooking demonstrations, we have nutrition workshops. For us, it's very important for people to reconnect with their healthy traditions and to start to live them again. There's a whole misconception about Mexican food. People think Mexican food and they think fried, they think lard, and they think cheese. And in fact, those three things were not originally part of Mexican food. No? Before the conquest, there was no lard, there was no dairy, and they didn't fry anything. They did use oils like chia oil, but they used them cold. So their cooking methods were steamed, roasted, or boiled. No? So it's about redefining what is Mexican food, and a lot of people have like a stigma about it almost, and saying no, shake it off. There's a good core at it. Let's get back to that. Let's relearn.
This whole pre-Hispanic concept, it's something that's for many of us that are Mexican Americans, something that you're not really used to. And so you get to experience that here. You get to learn how to make it, to incorporate, especially now that you could get fresh produce. And so that's just great. I think it's a great idea. It helps, it helps battle a lot of obesity, which is hitting our community a lot, especially young kids.
Many El Pasoans are now coming to the conclusion that eating healthy starts at the beginning of the day.
Give them breakfast. Don't just send them off with a small glass of milk or juice and a toast. No, something a little more solid, because they're going to start the day. They need all that energy. There's a lot of food that can be given to them, but how healthy is it? When they're little, they have to start forming their stomach.
When a baby is born, its stomach is very small. This is the size of a newborn stomach on day one. Okay, And this is day 3. And this is day 10. When you're feeding your baby formula and it has something unnatural and plastic to suck on that cannot regulate portion control, this is going to happen way too fast. I think that we've forgotten that breastfeeding is part of like a world culture of women. It's not necessarily just a Mexican thing. I think that when we realize that we've been doing things for, many centuries and throughout our history, it makes more sense and it's easier for us to relate to.
This realization teaches El Pasoans that their pasts can guide them to healthy futures.
There's something very special about including history, culture, stories into nutrition education, because when I tell people, chia is very high in omega-3 fatty acids, maybe, 10% will know what that means and be very excited. But if I tell them chia was also made illegal, chia was part of the warrior diet because it was good for the mind and it's a complete protein and it means it gave people a lot of strength, people tend to perk up more and really listen. And especially youth, when you tell them things like that, then one kid was like, well, now I'm going to eat amaranth. Now I'm going to eat chia, because there's something about why was it taken? I want it back, and there's something about telling that as a story, including tradition, including history. It makes it very compelling. It makes it part of our story. So now if they start to eat it and they tell their friends, they're going to tell the story. They're not going to tell them it's got 20% protein. So that's how we change things, I think, through those stories and those traditions. It's not about taking on a new thing, like a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be healthy, it means I just have to eat lettuce. And it's not. It's about relearning all those helpful traditions from the past. We're trying to reintegrate our healthy traditions. My grandfather sacrificed a lot to move to this country so that I could have a better life. And I don't want to ruin that by getting sick with chronic diseases that prevent me from reaching my fullest potential. No? So that's kind of how I see it. It's not just health as the end goal, but we're here to contribute and to grow as human beings and to create healthy and happy communities. And we can't do that if we're not healthy. So the health is just a pathway to a better community.
We all have to make choices every day, and for some families, they're choosing between paying utilities, putting gas in the vehicle, or buying food. So purchasing the most food for the money makes sense in the short term.
But in the long run, it can lead to obesity and all of the problems that go along with it. Dr. Deanna Helscher discusses the real effect this style of eating has on the body.
There's actually a biologic mechanism underlying that, because if you don't know when you're going to eat next, you tend to eat too much. And so it kind of puts your body into a feast or famine type mode.
In San Antonio, the focus is on making sound choices and making sure healthier items are available.
Partner station KLRN shows how San Antonio is making changes as a city to ensure its residents have access to healthy food.
Sometimes the food looks so good you get tempted and you don't really think about the nutritional content. It's more about the flavor.
Would probably be like a good hamburger, some pizza. A really good hamburger is always hard to pass up.
There is obesity because of poverty, and there's obesity because families are working for long periods of time. Both parents are working and they feel like they don't have time to spend at home cooking. And so they're making quick choices that may not be the most healthful choices. It seems counterintuitive that obesity and hunger could be related, but what's happening is when there's poverty, families are not spending money on the more expensive foods like fresh fruits and vegetables. So they're wanting to get the most calories and the most fullness they can with their money. So they're going and they're buying high calorie, calorie dense, high fat foods that are going to be less expensive and fill them up for a long period of time so they don't have to eat quite so often.
Registered dietitian Linda Farr is taking Deborah Morales grocery shopping to make sure that doesn't happen with her and her family.
When you walk into a grocery store, your fresher items, your healthier items, your staples, the meat, the dairy, the produce, and the breads and grains are going to be on the outside circle of the grocery store. So when you're shopping and you don't want to be tempted to pick up some of the extra foods, try and stick to the outer perimeter of the store. One of the main things we want to look for is fruits and vegetables that aren't bruised, that don't have a lot of brown. We want a lot of bright colors, dark green, orange, yellow colors. So when we get to the lettuce, this lettuce and this cabbage is fine, but trying to find more dark leafy greens would even be better. Some of the problem with fruit is some people don't like to peel the fruit or take the time. You'll save money if you buy the whole fruit and then maybe cut it up for the kids and have it readily available for them, or leave the fruit out on the counter, like apples and oranges could be left on the counter for them to see. A lot of times if you see something, it makes you want to eat it.
Right.
If you're going to look for breads, what I suggest is try to find a bread that says 100% whole grain on it, or look for at least 2 grams or 3 grams of fiber.
Making the right choices has never been more important.
About 70% of all the adults in San Antonio are overweight or obese, and about a third of all of our students right now are overweight or obese.
It's one reason San Antonio has had the reputation as the fattest city in America. Times have changed, and now the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District is working to lower the obesity rate and provide better nutrition. Registered dietitians like Linda, who work with the health district, regularly counsel with parents on how to make healthy choices.
Having the kids know where food comes from and having them play with the food and see the different shapes and see actually how it's made can really pique their interest and help them become more and more interested in food.
The health department teamed up with the San Antonio Restaurant Association to create the Por Vida program that ensures healthy choices are offered in restaurants.
We all love our tortillas in San Antonio, and we have a couple companies here that make fresh tortillas, and of course our restaurants have it all the time. But the problem with flour tortillas is that they're made with lard, and so there's cholesterol and animal fat in it.
Deborah saw the healthy choices in the grocery store, and now she and her 3 boys are about to see how restaurants serve up healthy dishes.
It goes back to this idea of short-term, long-term, right? There's short-term gratification when you're getting that hamburger, but you're not getting something that's nutritious, and in the long run, you're going to be hungry.
So instead of apples to oranges, let's compare burgers and fries with something a little healthier.
So we're going to mix this with just a little olive oil, not too much because we're leaving the skin on the chicken.
Okay.
So there's already enough fat in there.
This one small chicken can feed a family for 3 days. Chicken is matched with rice and salad for 1 meal.
You want to eat one?
Yum.
Chicken is mixed with low-fat cheese, peppers, and corn on wheat tortillas for quesadillas with fiber-rich black beans on the side.
The quesadilla, I think they're kind of interested in that because we usually just do cheese and chicken. So now we'll throw in some vegetables in there and see how that goes.
And leftover vegetables, chicken bones, and cut-up corn tortillas makes for a savory tortilla soup.
It's still very nutritious because you're getting some of that protein from the bones, believe it or not, and a very flavorful soup.
3 meals for about $3 a person spread over 3 days. The more children are exposed to healthy choices at home, the better the chance they will order similar, healthier dishes in restaurants.
I think when kids are, feel this tomato and feel the cucumber and are able to toss a salad, they experience, oh, you know what? That actually was fun to make. Let me try that. That was mine, and so they have that sense of ownership with their food.
I think it's going to help a lot, especially seeing them put this together. Now I'm going to, okay, well, let's try the brown tortillas instead of the white ones, and they may have been a little more resistant. Let's get you in the kitchen to help. And I think that'll help them want to eat it if they help make it.
The hunger and obesity crisis in Texas is grave, but it is not insurmountable. And during the course of this program, you've seen how cities in every corner of the state are tackling the parallel problems of hunger and obesity and the underlying issue of poverty.
Our children deserve the best of what the state has to offer, and our food banks, schools, congregations, and community organizations are ready and willing to do what it takes to ensure that every child in Texas goes to sleep with a full stomach.
And that every child has access to quality, nutritious food. As Carrie Kroll notes, success happens when families have the tools they need to change.
it's easy to change your family, or easier to change your family. There are resources out there to help you learn how to cook better, how to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables, where to find fresh fruits and vegetables, how to maneuver some of those lifestyle changes. There are community programs focused on that, but as individuals, it really takes the initiative to get out there and make a change, kind of family by family.
Start with your family and be a part of a stronger, healthier Texas.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Find out more at youtube.com/TexasFeedingMinds or Facebook.com/TXFeedingMinds. This program has been made possible by a grant from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas.